Yeah, we already have a couple of questions. One of the most common questions of public speaking is, guess what? How do I control stress during public presenting and public speaking? It's a question that everyone expects a magical answer to, but there is none. You can have a couple of mental exercises and you can read and study all about it. Just go to YouTube, use the keywords around stress control and stage fright and all these things, and you will get all the practical advice there is. But at the end of the day, it's really fascinating that some of us do have a bit more on the talent side and the confidence side, but there's nothing better than the actual rehearsing and the continuous process of verifying step by step with each and every time you do a presentation. You can learn from that. Now, how do you accelerate this process if you don't have that many opportunities to speak? If every once in a while you speak at an occasion like this, like the pitching competition, probably the only reasonable way to accelerate it is to use your camera. Once you start recording, rehearsing and practicing, trust me, even speaking to the camera at home in a perfectly intimate environment, nobody watching you, just your camera recording you, even that will be stressful initially. So once you start battling this enemy, once you develop an attitude, and once you use your imagination to think that you're not talking to some kind of artificial lens and the technical components of your camera, but you're talking to people. Now, there is a way to handle this exercise. There are multiple ways, but one of the ways to do that is, if we can take the broader angle, if you understand silence. Now, intuitively, in public speaking, all of us think silence is the biggest enemy. The moment the silence falls on the stage, something is wrong. The clicker is not working, there's a technical problem. But understanding silence is one of the most powerful devices in public speaking. People who control silence are the ones who are genuinely confident in the right sense of the word. You need to understand silence, and you don't need to be an actor to do that. In fact, there is a thin line between controlling silence in the right way and becoming too much of an actor. People don't expect acting skills from you. People expect you to be authentic, which means they respect when you need some time to think about something in a live environment, when they're asking you questions and you pause to think about it, instead of just throwing meaningless series of words just to fill in the void. So my advice is, don't fill in the void. Project a sense of control. It's not an easy exercise to work with silence. But remember, silence is not your enemy. Once you learn that, you will understand it's part of the learning process. And by analogy, making mistakes is not your enemy. Making mistakes is not your enemy. In public speaking, if you don't practice, nothing good will come out of it. Now, to give you an example, we all think that, or many of us think that it's often a question of talent or no talent at all. I'll give you another example. I've just finished reading a fascinating biography of Sir Winston Churchill. And not all of you know probably that Sir Winston Churchill, among his achievements, one of them was receiving a Nobel Prize for Literature. I think it was in 1953. And if you studied the number of books this man wrote, even while being the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom of Britain, even during that time, is totally, completely astounding. If you study the number of articles that he wrote, you will find it mesmerizing that you can achieve so much in a single lifetime. Truly mesmerizing, all of his political mistakes aside. But the fascinating thing in this context, in his context of public speaking, he, unlike a lot of leaders, global leaders, truly understood the power of public speaking, and he never underestimated what can be done through rehearsing and learning and repeating and studying and memorizing. He had great memory. Every historian will tell you that he could easily memorize entire acts from Shakespeare, etc., etc. So it was very easy for him, apparently, to memorize things. So that could have created a lot of confidence in him, but it didn't. In fact, historians like Andrew Roberts, the biography I'm telling you about, will tell you that he spent a lot of time meticulously rehearsing, studying the actual intonation patterns, preparing very carefully to achieve dramatic effects at certain moments, to look for the right metaphors, to make his language much richer, much more versatile. So if you think that you either have talent for public speaking or not, that's really complacent of you. That's very, very, it's as lazy as it gets if you think like that. Being a great public speaker, or even being a decent public speaker, is a question of work, hard work often. So do not be misled. Do not think that you were not born with that and therefore you can give up. Handling stress is an imagination exercise, and it's all about rehearsals, and it's about your ability to overcome your shortfalls and shortcomings. So back to the question, what questions do you ask yourself first? Some of you have a very analytical approach to that, and therefore you will look, first thing you will do, you will look at the criteria, and you will try to understand which of those criteria will be the most important ones percentage-wise. And it's a very solid, good approach. So essentially what those people do is that the first thing they do is make sure they address the question, they address the criteria, they address the things that the jury or the audience expect them to do. So basically leave someone with something tangible at the end of the day.